Many thanks for staying with us. And now in Southern Africa, the death toll after heavy rains which devastated parts of KwaZulu-Natal this week now stands at 4. Provincial Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC Bongi Sitole Moloi said on Thursday 3 of the victims were from eThekwini, while 1 person died in the Ugu district on the south coast and 1 person is still missing. Preliminary reports indicate extensive damage to road infrastructure, electricity and sewer systems and houses. Schools have also been damaged, with the Pinetown district being the hardest hit with 10 schools reported to have been damaged, while further assessments are underway in other affected districts. Now, she said the agricultural sector also suffered losses, with gardens destroyed in various wards in the Inanda area. Now, still speaking on the Rwanda's policy about the government saying that it is not safe for asylum seekers, I will be joined now by Collin Nweke, who will help us have a better understanding of the situation. Thank you so much, Collin, for joining us.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Now, Collins, let's trace the reason behind the asylum policy. The government says that the plan will deter people arriving in the UK through illegal methods like small boats which cross the English Channel. Isn't this justifiable to do so, seeing that it doesn't seem like there's any undertone of racism, or is there?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that every country has the right, and perhaps you might even add the obligation to protect its borders. But you see, I think the bones that people are picking on this specific policy by the UK government is the fact that there are very clear international rules around this. The UK is a signatory to the Geneva Convention that actually protects the rights of, asylum seekers. As far as we know, they have not rescinded their signature in that, in that convention. And so, when they act in ways that appear to violate the rights of asylum seekers, well, it is expected that both the asylum seekers themselves and the groups that are, fighting for their rights will actually react, and that is exactly the case here, where Asylum Aid, as a group, charity group, has, contested this. So, yes, you might not talk of direct racism, but there are questions around UK's, violation of the rights of asylum seekers in this case.
Now, Collins, the ruling also said that there are certain deficiencies or shortcomings in the Rwanda asylum system, and the spokesperson, Makolo, is contending that statement and trying to debunk it, saying that it is the otherwise situation. What is your take on that?
My take is that the Rwandan government should not have signed up for this in the first place. Let us be very clear about this. The government of Rwanda is much more interested in the money that is coming in, from the UK to be able to finance this project. Now, again, I am not saying that the Rwandan government doesn't have the right to seek their own best interest, but they should do that respecting international law. Now, they are not on the demand side of this because it is the UK that has approached them. But, they are not under obligation, not any obligation at all, to accede to UK's request. I mean, they should do so, realizing that they too have their own human rights records. That is nothing to go, nothing to go right by. I mean, they have, been found wanting one way or the other or violating them, human rights. And so adding this to the other issues that they have, I mean, it's something they ought not to have started in the first place. I think Rwanda needs to get their own priorities right, and this is not part of their priorities. Or
all
shouldn't
right,
be.
Okay, let's take a look at what an economic impact assessment of the illegal migrant right or bill says it estimates that removing each individual to a third country like Rwanda will cost the UK nothing less than £169,000. In this case, would we say that both countries are only focused on the financial gains that they can get?
Exactly, and that is the point that I'm making here. Now, we should not put a price tag on human rights, and I believe that in the case of the UK, there is a conscious effort here to spend very high amount of money, in the beginning of this process, essentially to send a strong message, to asylum seekers out there and those that support them, that the UK will commit all the resources needed to be able to get the situation under control. But the point is that this is very, very unwise spending, as the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats have actually pointed out that there are ways of actually spending money in a wiser manner that comes in the best interest of the asylum seekers, and then keeping UK's integrity intact.
All right, Collin Nweke, our global affairs analyst, thank you so much for giving us context into the UK asylum policy. We'll see you again another time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.